Okay, today we're going to have a look at a company that I don't talk about a huge amount, but I actually quite like, and that is Presonus, because they've just recently come out with the StudioLive Series Mark III SE digital mixers, and I just want to delve into them. We're not necessarily going to compare them to the Mark II, but I do want to have a look if this might be the right mixer for you. So let's jump into it and have a look at this sweet mixer. So one of my bands used to run the StudioLive 16.4.2. I want to say that was the mixer. It had lots of numbers. They didn't used to name them very well. Hopefully they have now fixed that convention. I'm pretty sure they have. And they've come out with a much more solid and easier to control mixer. That mixer used to be not confusing, but just not the easiest to control in my experience. And we had quite a few teething problems with it in that it used kind of strange layering. I don't know. We had a few issues with it, but it did sound absolutely great. And it did loads of functionality, kind of beyond what my band needed at the time. And I kind of think that these might be a really good mixer if you're looking for something different. You know, you don't want the Behringer for whatever reason, and maybe you're not a big fan of Allen Heath. Presonus could be for you. I mean, this looks like it's got every function kind of under the sun, plus a couple little bonuses that we'll talk about in a second. So this is the big boy. This is the, what are they going to call this? Let's have a look. Let's see what they've called this one. The 32. Like I said, nice, easy naming conventions. This is the 32, the big one. I would say if you're front of house, maybe you might be looking at this, but for most of the guys that I'm talking to now, those that are in bands, this is going to be too much. You're not going to be carrying this around, and if you are, get someone to run your front of house. What on earth are you doing running front of house on something like this from the stage? That's a reality check. If you are running front of house and you've got something like this, you need to start hiring someone. We're not going to be looking at this system. We're going to be looking at its little tiny 16, which is this one here. I think they've kind of cropped it off a bit here. But yeah, the 16 I think is far more usable, more than enough for most bands who are running their own sound. And yeah, let's jump into it. Don't buy the big 32. I've told you, if you're buying that, start running front of house. Don't do it for your own band. One thing I've always kind of admired in the Presonus stuff is I think their EQ and effects and compression, all of that kind of effects module system has always sounded really good for the amount of money you spent. And they've got this new Flex DSP engine, which lets you kind of run even more powerful effects units. So I can only imagine it sounds better. Do I know? No, I haven't heard this mixer, but I can only imagine it sounds really good. I have nothing to go by that would say otherwise. It's got all the usual stuff, so your kind of virtual sound check, your recording functions. Obviously they call this the StudioLive because it's a really good recording interface as well, and you can get it plumbed in with your laptop really easily for full control of basically everything. So it's a great hybrid mixer if that's the kind of thing you're looking for. It's kind of got, like I said, all the regular functions you would expect from your mixer. This is going to do, you know, it's got EQ, it's got compression, it's got a gate. What more could you need? The one thing I would say about it is it has got a very tiny screen, or at least it looks it compared to everything else. It just looks quite cramped up there in the corner. And that's kind of one of the issues I had with that old 16.4 point whatever it was, is that it had a really tiny screen. So it was quite hard to necessarily see what you were affecting all the time, and they've kind of kept it here, so that is a little bit of a downer, but it's got some still really useful functionality. So it's got this big like kind of transport section in the middle. They called it like the touch and turn. You got your play, pause, record. So if you are doing more studio stuff, it's got that transport bar in the middle. And then it's kept things kind of really simple. Let's see if I can zoom in. Ooh, let's get up there. So you've got your click input, boom, you're straight on your front page. You've got your gain, gate, comp, EQ, sends. It's really basic. If you know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing, you can probably find your way around this pretty easily. There's a lot less delving into menus. I definitely found that with the old one that we used to have. It was all kind of on the front. You could find it really quickly. And if you couldn't find it, you probably didn't need it, at least not desperately. And you could go in and find extra stuff as well. But all the things that you need straight off the bat were always smack here in the front. And they've got that here. You know, they've got all your kind of assignable things that you might want on the mixer. It's just got this one simple row. You kind of know what you're doing. Gate, comp, HP, high pass filter, gain, frequency, Q for all of your EQs. And you can just click them on and off. Really simple, all color coded. So you've got, you know, purple for low, blue for low mid, etc., etc. All your effects mutes, tap tempo, and then if you come over here, you've got your kind of RTA has a button. I like that. Click a button. I can see my RTA. Really, really useful. You've got your monitor, phone sends, all that stuff, and yeah, all your level monitoring is all up here. So when you're looking at your mixer, if you're mid-gig, don't know what's going on, you can stare straight at it. It's right in front of you. It's really obvious. And these things are very easy to overlook until you've been in a situation where you are mixing your band and something goes wrong. Being able to see what's going on, things like how much compression is being made or whether something's slipping through a gate or not, is really, really useful. I kind of wish I could see more on my QSC when I'm doing that. There is a like overview page which kind of gives you more, but this layout I actually think looks really, really nice. Like being able to see your level in comp gate. That's just stuff I want to know quite often. And if I could just click on the channel and see that there and be able to control it from there, I guess more importantly, it seems pretty useful to me. I'm not going to lie. I like that. That sounds really good. Obviously, you got your SD card for live recording as well. And then you come down to your channel strips. Again, we've got the digital scribble strip across the top. Next and previous for your next groups. Really easy to work your way around. Again, I think that's the kind of going thing with this mixer is that it looks just generally very easy to navigate, which I wouldn't underplay. I really do think that is a very important thing. Even things like clicking between your sub mixes, your auxes, and your main mix, it's all just on a button on your left. And yeah, I think this, for me, might be the perfect layout for how I'd want to see buttons and things. I mean, I feel like the QU has a nicer layout of all of your knobs at the top for all your various, you know, EQ and things. But equally, this is very simple and very quick to see what's going on straight off the bat. So yeah, I don't know if I would say one's better than the other. Obviously, I haven't used either, so I can't straight away say, oh, I really like this, really don't like this. But just from looking at it off the offset, this looks really usable to me. It's quite tempting. It is quite tempting. The other kind of big thing that is going to influence your choice on this mixer or not is its I/O. Now, I think this is something that has always been quite limited on Presonus mixers of the past. Even their digital ones have had kind of limited inputs and outputs. We've got 6 XLR outputs and then another 2 stereo outputs plus a monitor output and 2 additional aux outputs. So there's actually quite a lot of auxiliary outputs here for monitoring, and we've got 16 inputs, half of which are combo jacks. So I actually don't think it's too bad on the face of the mixer. And you've also got audio networking. So should you want to expand it, you actually have the option, and that is something I don't have on my QSC. So this is a really compact system that you could add a stage box to quite easily. And I think probably the biggest bonus to Presonus, I like that, is that the stage boxes are really reasonably priced. The 8.8 is 550 quid, and it comes in this really easy to kind of chuck around. I know you're not going to chuck it around, but this really kind of rugged box that has handles, and you can put where you want on stage, and it gives you another 8 inputs and another 8 outputs. And if you need more inputs, it's only 690 for the 16 in 8 out, which is so cheap compared to a lot of the other brands. These stage boxes are just so impressive. They just run cat just like the mixer does, cat back and forth. But yeah, they've got to be some of the cheapest stage boxes available, I think. I don't think there's many companies that are making a stage box around that sort of money. I mean, I guess Behringer are. Yeah, so the SD16 is kind of around that money. It's a bit cheaper, I guess. Yeah, take that as you want, but I think the Presonus boxes are really good quality. And additionally, if you want IEM mixing, say you're doing pit work, they're pretty reasonable as well. So the EarMix 16M is 320 quid. I don't know, about the same price as the Midas one. So almost the same price as the Midas one, and it's got all the functionality you would need in an IEM mixer. Pretty basic, I guess, bass treble with a limiter, pan. Oh, it has got a mid frequency though. That's all right. That's not too bad. But yeah, all the functionality you probably could want. It's 320 quid. It's not too bad. So one of the big things is obviously it's not 96 kilohertz. This is a 48 kilohertz unit. It is running 32-bit float for your audio, which is very, very advantageous if you're doing recording of any kind. I'd want 32-bit float. But yeah, it is a 48 kilohertz mixer, and it is right up there, touching the price of the QU. We're talking about 1848 for the 16 channel, the 24, which might be what you might push up to, I guess, if you're in a band. I probably wouldn't unless you got someone running front of house, or if you are running front of house. 2699. I think those prices are right up there with the QU. They're kind of, the QU5 is just a little bit cheaper. 1750. Again, the breakout boxes are much more expensive, but it does run 96 kilohertz. So if that's a deal breaker, then maybe the Presonus isn't for you. If you're comparing this to like the Wing, then it's more comparable, I guess, but you're getting a lot more I/O on your Wing, and you're probably getting a lot more effects, I would have thought. I actually haven't looked into that. Probably should have looked into that, but I didn't. I'll leave that up to you to tell me in the comments. I'm sure someone will tell me that I'm wrong or right on that front. But yeah, I think it's a really solid option. I think in conclusion, if you are looking for a mixer, you don't want the Behringer, you don't want the Allen & Heath, I don't think you're going to go wrong with the StudioLive. I think they've always been solid mixers. I think the effects sound great. I think the preamps sound pretty great. And if you're in need of stage boxes, they are that kind of Behringer level of pricing, I guess. So we're sitting at all around the Behringer QU pricing, but with some pretty decent functionality. Yeah, I don't think there's anything really bad to say about this mixer. I just think it's another one to throw in the mix. If you are looking, I wouldn't kind of write this one off straight away, especially if you want to do some studio stuff. I think this one might be the best option if you want to do studio recording stuff. This is probably the best hybrid mixer there is going. They also have some really solid rack mixers, so if you want to keep everything in the ecosystem, the StudioLive system is just a pretty solid one to go for. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Tell me what you think, and if you want to see me comparing the QU and the Wing up there, go have a look at that. I'm looking at the QU and the Wing. What more can I say? Maybe you do want them. I don't know. Or maybe you want this. Bye.